The concept of using vitamin B1 or high-dose thiamine as a potential adjunct to Parkinson's disease treatment and management came from an Italian neurologist named Dr. Antonio Constantini. Unfortunately, Dr. Constantini succumbed during the COVID-19 pandemic, but his work lives on through Dr. Daphne Bryan, a music psychologist who is a person with Parkinson's who has used the vitamin B1 therapy successfully in her own journey with Parkinson's disease. So during this episode, I want to share with you some of Daphne's own words when it comes to dosing and other topics with B1. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about the conceptual parts of B1 and why this might be beneficial for you as a person with Parkinson's disease. The question you might have off the bat is, can vitamin B1 therapy be done by itself to treat Parkinson's disease? The answers might vary on that question. However, generally speaking, the longer you've had Parkinson's disease, the less likely you'd be able to take B1 as a monotherapy or as a standalone treatment for Parkinson's disease. However, if you are taking levodopa, typically this would be an adjunct to the levodopa therapy, not a replacement for it. The idea behind the B1 therapy is that Parkinson's disease is robbing the brain of those specific neurons that produce the highest concentrations of dopamine that we produce in our brains. One can't replace lost neurons, those tissues are gone. But the idea behind B1 is that it can help to protect the existing cells that are still there and possibly damaged. So in other words, it can protect the healthy cells as well as to help heal and protect the ones that are damaged or dying. So the spread of effects tends to be found in both motor and non-motor symptoms in those that have found success with B1 therapy. Particularly in terms of non-motor symptoms, are particularly effective for fatigue. According to Dr. Bryan, dyskinesia can be improved as well as bridging the gap between doses of levodopa to help mitigate off times. So can B1 specifically increase dopamine? Maybe indirectly, and that would be through the mechanism of protecting those nerve cells from dying off and therefore helping the dopamine production levels to stay more stable and not to deplete over time. What does the research say about B1 therapy? Well, according to most research, there's promising results, but not enough to definitively say that B1 can help you if you have Parkinson's disease. The response from Michael J. Fox Foundation was kind of a letdown, and I'll give you a screenshot to show you what they said. I think a little bit of my disappointment with the Michael J. Fox Foundation response is that if you read between the lines, essentially they're saying, yeah, you could take it if you want, but it probably isn't going to help, but it probably won't hurt you if you do. As with most supplements we've talked about on this podcast, results vary between individuals, and that's a little bit of why more research is needed in these areas, because we simply don't know if some of this is placebo effect or if there are actual effects, although in my argument, placebo effect is not always a bad thing if it is improving your outlook and your feeling of how your symptoms are being managed. Feeling better is feeling better.